Greetings, Star Trek Fleet Commanders. I am the Angry Rhino. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It's time for my final thoughts of the most recent ARC video. Now, I know I said at the beginning of the month, expect some What Was You Thinking videos, and yeah, I never really got to it. I think part of it is kind of goes along with that idea, at least something that was present when I was in the Army. The only time you have to worry about a soldier is when he's not complaining. And the idea with that is because he cares far less than he used to when he was complaining. So there is some of that. There is some of busy with other things that came up. So I'm not going to make this a What Was You Thinking video. This won't be officially an episode of What Was You Thinking, though I may throw the phrase What Was You Thinking in there. But this will mainly be my final thoughts video. That is going to be the theme of this. There just will be some What Was You Thinking in there. All right, enough of that. Notes. Did write some notes down for this, as I usually do with my final thoughts videos. And starting with the officers, as I so often do. I think I mentioned in the ArcFall video that Trip should have had a captain ability because he was a second officer. Well, that's technically not true. For the most part of Enterprise, Paul was a second officer. Though I feel like there was at least a time there where she took a leave of absence or something, but I can't remember that for sure. Trip was really the third officer, so I guess it is okay that he doesn't have a captain ability, but at the same time, my biggest complaint with these officers is, and it's not necessarily their abilities, but because you have an officer ability and a below deck ability, you cannot take advantage of the two abilities at the same time. Therefore, one, you have to choose between one or the other, and it does make them more of a niche officer. What exactly do I... Yeah. Trip is way too niche, not adding that much loot below because there are other officers. Yes, technically giving players more Herogen and Bag of Dicks loot is a good thing. 30% isn't that much. And what am I? Tier 2? I can upgrade to tier 2. I haven't yet. So then it goes up to 60%. Yes, I mean, that is, it's nice. But at some point, you're going to care a lot less because you're going to max your Voyager. Yes. Oh, I know. I can see the comments now. Oh, you're a whale. You're a huge spender. Of course you have a max Voyager. What does that have to do with me maxing my Voyager? I didn't spend money on the Voyager. I used the Lobot crystals to get however many blueprints it was, and then I ground it out with Herogen relics. I didn't spend money on the Voyager. My Voyager's maxed. Because I have been able to get the loot somewhat easily. Some of that is from 5 of 11, everybody's favorite officer, or should be everybody's favorite officer, because you can get extra loot and you can get mitigation. Perfect for grinding hostiles. Not the same with Trip here. And with Voyager, you can get extra loot. With Dr. Below, you can get extra loot. And as I showed you a few months ago, for incursions, there is a loot exocomp. You can get more loot that way as well. So adding another 30 or 60% doesn't do that much. Yes, it does help, but again, it doesn't do that much. So while he is useful, but it's your epic officer, and his best use is below decks. Cool. Because his officer ability, I don't think I see a huge use for this. When you take damage from a hostile or another player, so it does work in PvE and PvP, Trip Tucker decreases the amount of your opponent's critical damage by 50% for 2 rounds. This ability can stack, does not trigger at armadas or an assault, which does weaken the ability. Don't give a shit about assaults, but not being able to use against armadas does hurt. And as always, weapons with multiple shots only trigger this ability 1 time. Yeah, and yes, it will go up with 30%, so it'll go up to 80% with a tier up. After that, I don't really know. But at the same time, what hostiles do you know of that have a huge critical chance? Do you know of any? I don't know of that many. So really, the only hostile this is good against is the Zindi. And not even just the Zindi, but their quote-unquote go-home cannon, which has a huge critical chance. Other than that, they don't really have a huge critical chance, so critical damage doesn't really do anything for you. But at the same time, there is a favor that will delay that. So, I know every player is different, but... And yes, I was able to get a few rounds of that particle beam delay, which I think most free-to-play players were able to get a few levels of that. Are you really struggling to not die from the go-home cannon? Because I'm not. I never have. And what I have heard from some of the free-to-play in my alliance, it doesn't sound like that's what's tripping them up either. So, how's Trip useful in PvE? In PvP, yeah, it sounds nice to reduce the critical damage, but you do have to get hit first, which isn't a great thing. So, what is this countering? Is this countering the Freeman crew? Well, the Freeman crew really takes you out quick. So, if you're not stacked up already, then it's not doing a whole lot because it's still going to be blasting you with huge critical hits and huge amounts of isolated damage. So that's not really going to do a whole lot for you. Explorer Strike Team doesn't do critical chance increase. Battleship Strike Team doesn't do critical chance increase. Now, Interceptor Strike Team does, but there is Damar for that, so you can do that. But if you were running Trip on the side and you're facing Interceptor Strike Team, who are your other 2 officers? Maybe you're going with Freeman, and then I assume Lorca. Freeman, Lorca, Trip. I mean, maybe. Maybe. I mean, are you going to win? I don't know. I just don't. It just doesn't seem like his officer abilities are that good. It doesn't. I think there would be a lot more use for this officer if he had a captain ability and an officer ability that worked in either PvP or PvE or both, really. Because you're only getting that one ability. And it's probably even more evident with DePaul here, since she is a mining officer, which I guess makes sense. And an ore mining speed officer, I guess that makes sense. Sure. But again, it's a below deck ability. And her officer ability is protected cargo. And who doesn't like more protected cargo? Of course we like that. But again, you can't use these abilities at the same time. So while there is usefulness here, because you can't use the abilities at the same time, it does decrease the usefulness. And it is mining, what people say about mining, or some players anyway. I mean, it is kind of a necessary thing, but it's not that huge of a part for a lot of people. And to be perfectly honest, do you need another ore mining speed officer? Because I don't. But that is me. I mean, I have the Ferengis, I have the Borg mining jackasses, I have the original mining crew. So you got Stone and Borg Stone and the Ferengis. That's 3. They're going to get you more speed than T'Pol. And Mavery. Mavery's actually a good one. He is kind of for the higher level players, or at least players that can level up in Syndicate a little more. So there is that. So it's just, there's dilution here because I already have ore mining officer. So I guess I just care less. So, yeah. But big thing is, you can't take advantage of both of these officers' both abilities. With neither of these officers, you can't take advantage of 2 abilities at the same time. You have to pick and choose. Well, that is, I mean, to me, it just decreases the value. And as always, with no sourcing mechanic, players beyond this month cannot acquire these officers without spending. So, officers, 2 thumbs down. I don't know what you were thinking here, but you literally made 2 officers this month with 0 captain ability, and you therefore decreased the effectiveness of the officers, and therefore people kind of looked at him and just said, meh, you're right. I guess that was a good decision. Have you released 2 officers in the month that players look at and say, meh? Yeah, good job. I have no idea what you were thinking there. All right, let's move on. Talked about the officers for like 10 minutes. That was ridiculous. However, missions. I got a huge... I wrote a lot of notes down here. This was not a good month. It really wasn't. I mean, I took up like almost my whole note page here for the officers and the missions, which I usually do not do. So I just kind of half-assed the last part. But the events and the feature, I wrote a little far less than I usually do. So hopefully I can ad-lib at those better. Missions. The event for completing the missions. Look, I don't know what is up with those rewards. I don't know what you were thinking there, but I know some players are looking at speed ups and saying, "Oh, I could use the speed ups," and I'm sure a lot of players are. I am not one of those. And for the most part, 10 days worth of speed ups doesn't do a whole lot if some of your buildings are 100 days. What does that do for? I mean, that's not even a free building speed up. It's 1/10 of a building speed up. Okay. Doesn't seem very rewarding to me. The rewards for the missions themselves, I think, were okay. I did see some away team speed ups in there. Not a whole lot, but that's good. Find some way to source away team speed up. That's a good thing. People like away teams. There are events, including battle pass events for away teams to give more people some more speed ups for that. That is a good thing. But doing the missions themselves did seem more trouble than they were worth. Right? Having to kill hostiles for a mission is okay. I mean, it's an okay task to do. But when you do it properly, maybe this is my opinion here, but if you tell people to kill a level, let's say 10 level 30 hostiles, or whatever it was for the mission, but then you send the players to this level 29 system, what the hell, man? How many level 30 hostiles do you think are going to be in that system? Okay, so we have to go to a different system, kill all the hostiles, and then go back to that same system. That's dumb. That's stupid. Why can't we just kill 10 hostiles in that system and be done with it? Which you technically can, but if there are no level 30 hostiles in this level 29 system, what you have to do is you have to make the level 30 hostiles spawn, which means you have to kill the level 29 and the level 28 hostiles. So how many hostiles you have to kill? It's not 10, it's more than 10. What you could do is you could send players to a level 29 system and say, hey, here, kill 10 level 27 or higher hostiles. Because then that guarantees that or level 28, I guess, was what I really wanted to say. Because then all the hostiles in that system would count. And yes, you could go to another system if you chose, but all the hostiles in that system would count towards that task, but you decided not to do that. What were you thinking there? Oh, we're going to send you to a 29 system, make you kill level 30 hostiles. Oh, okay. Why? I mean, all you did was inconvenience us. You made it more annoying to do the missions. Why? It's so stupid. Donating G2 materials, raw materials. Are you kidding me? And I've said this before. Look, if you're in G2 land, well, or not, that's not what I want to say. As far as your progression, if you are in G2, how much extra G2 raw do you have? Do you have a lot? I don't think you have 10,000 extra to spare, but I could be wrong. It's been a long time since I was down there. And honestly, if you're a bigger player, like you're in G4 or you're even in G3, how much G2 raw do you have? Oh, you have none? Guess what? Go mine 10,000 of it because you have to donate for this mission. Go mine 10,000 of it or don't do the mission. Come on, man. Really? I mean, if you want us to donate something, can it be something we have shit tons of? Or do we really have to donate anything at all? It just seems kind of silly. Especially when you end up giving it back. So for me, and while I do appreciate that they continue to do the missions, even though they did a shit job at it, missions are a staple for me, and they can source necessary speed-ups for some players. Though you should stick to the mission itself and not the event. That's just wrong. Put something else in there. Put officer shards in there or something. It's stupid. So missions for me this month, 2 big old thumbs down. Moving on to events. I'm somewhat torn with the events here this month. Many of them did have specialty rewards, I felt like. Like, say, Borg Cube currencies. The whatever dumb shit you need to put on the ship, and then the research. I don't remember what the hell they're called. It's getting annoying with all these currencies and trying to keep track of them. It's oh my god! I can't. There's so many I can't even remember all the names of these dumb things. And Fleet Commander stuff. I think there was some Fleet Commander stuff in for some of the other events, which I understand that, but it's like when you look at the Battle Pass. You see so many different currencies. Essentially what it boils down to is dilution. Yes, you're getting essentially the same value of the rewards, but if you're spreading it out through all these different currencies, you're gaining less in the loops themselves. So you're not really gaining that much as far as progression. Towards progression anyway. So I don't really know how I feel about that. I'm sure some players are like, oh, I'd love to get this extra Borg cube, this extra Borg cube junk. That means I have to grind less for it, which is true. But at the same time, you do kind of want your crystal and your gas and your ore and your really, I mean, especially dilithium for the researchers, at least in my opinion. And depending on where you're at in your progression, you're going to want par steel and you're going to want titanium as well. But less events rewarding that because you go with some of these specialty currencies. There is dilution there, which depends on the player, how they're going to feel about it. Personally, I don't know that I really want you to remove some of the rewards for some of these events from being resources and materials, because I want the resources and materials. I want that. I would rather it be that, because some of these other currencies I can only pull one day. So I've already made my peace with that. I can do a double or a triple chest pull if I so choose. But in this case, you're making the choice for me. I don't really like that. So, but I fully recognize that some players are going to like that type of reward. They do want more of a balance of all the currencies instead of heavily focused on a few of these currencies. That's fine. So for you folks out there, I'll do in the middle here. I'm not going to give it a thumbs down because that is more of me, but do kind of understand that you do like the balance. All right, enough of the events. Let's move on to the feature. And this is where I really probably should have done some What Was You Thinking videos, because but I guess I just got to a point where, oh my God, this indie shit, I mean, it's just shit. I hate it. I hate the shit out of it. And I'm sure what's going to happen next month or maybe the month after, depending on where developers are, I guess. The NX-01 Enterprise, it's coming, and it's going to be for killing these indie hostiles. It has to be. Otherwise, what the hell else is it going to be for? A new type of hostile and a new type of currency? Oh, God, I hope not. That would... So, yeah, the X-Borg expansion / Xindi loop, because it really focuses on, let's say, the expansion of the X-Borg faction store, but the loot that you need to acquire to do some of these pulls is this Xindi whatever bullshit. I don't even remember. I mean, it is very simple, and yes, while they did make changes to make acquiring this Xindi loot easier, and they did, they fully recognized that, but they probably looked at this month and were like, well, shit, if we don't do this, then they're going to hate the shit out of this month. Some people hate the shit out of this month regardless. But it is more currency, because you got two different Xindi shit loots. The wanted Xindi bullshit, and then the regular Xindi bullshit. And then you added 3 more Ex-Borg currencies. It's just... It gets to a point where it's so many currencies to manage. You may not necessarily have to go out and do a thing for all the currencies, because you really just go get this Xindi shit and do your turn-ins, and that's how you get these new Ex-Borg bullshits. But you still gotta manage all these different currencies. And there's how many different chest pools in the Ex-Borg store? It's nice, yes, I mean, a lot of those chests are nice. But it's a lot of additions. It's a lot of additions. We do like adding things to this game, but there were a lot of additions here. So it is almost kind of, what's the term? Information overload. It is a kind of a lot like information overload. While several of these chests, if not all of them, depending on you as a player, I did a video on it. You know I don't like all the chests, but it is perfectly okay for you to like all the chests that they added to the X-Borg store. But there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. So that's what I mean by information overload. There's too much. Now, with time, that will come easier. They will come easier to us. And it is nice that some of these chests do afford you the opportunity to get some currency for some of the other loops. Now, is it enough for 2 and 3 chest pulls a day? No. But it should be enough for a 1 chest pull. It should be. It's supposed to be anyway. Whether it is or not, I don't really know because I don't engage with that part. I don't like the idea of slowing my progression down that much. Yes, it will help with the other loops, but then you're slowing your Ex-Borg research progression down and your favors progression down by taking the Ex-Borg credits and using them for these other loops. Oh, and I did want to... The plan was to actually go into the faction store and show you some of that, so you had some frame of reference here. Let's go to the Ex-Borg stuff. I mean, you remember when you used to come in here and it was, what, 6 different boxes to claim? Look at them all. This is information overload. It's a lot at one time. For some people, it's not a lot. They can easily look at this and figure it out relatively quickly. Not everybody can. So, wow. I mean, there is a lot of stuff here. There really is. I mean, some of these favors are very nice. Some of them are, I don't know about the repairing the hull in PvP. Does sound cool. It does sound like a neat idea, but at the same time, it does sound like one of those things that you have to wait until we see it in action to see how much we actually like it. Because it really may heal too much. For some players, it may heal them too much, and for other players, may not get enough. There are more things to gain, more broken ship parts, which is always nice. I guess. There are things in here where it makes the amount of ship parts that you need per ship lessened. Not a whole lot, like 50%, which, okay. But on top of everything else, there is a little bit of dilution there as well. But, I mean... it's nice. It's just a lot more currencies to manage, and I don't really like that. Though at the same time, I do like some of these favors. I just wish there weren't as many currencies. I really wish there weren't as many currencies. There's now 4 Ex-Borg currencies. Common, uncommon, rare, and epic. Does there really need to be 4? What were you thinking there? Does there need to be 4 different currencies? There doesn't need to be. There doesn't. You could do it with 1 currency. You could. You really could. Just make them cost more. Instead of 2,000 uncommon credits, make it cost 4,000 Ex-Borg credits, period. Could do that. Really could. Why couldn't you do that? You chose not to. I don't know why. The only thing I can think of is because you thought that you could throw them in packs and it would make people buy more packs. I don't know why it would make people buy more packs. Sure, some of the packs are nice, but not really seeing the logic there. But for the most part, I do think it does add some improvement into the game. It will take a while for people to get used to this, but so I won't give you a thumbs down, but I'm not giving you a thumbs up, so I'll give you another one of these. So wrapping this up here, I think to sum it all up, the officers this month were shit. The missions this month were shit. The events this month were meh. And the feature this month was meh. So, I'm sorry, but that equates to a shit-ass month. Shit. Shit month. You understand that? I don't know what you were thinking this month and why you thought this was going to be, well, I don't even know. I can't even say why you thought this was, anybody was going to have any reason to be excited about this month. If anything, the only thing that I can think of is you made a meh to shit month so that when next month rolls out, it will be boosted. Right? Because it will be an improvement on this month. So therefore, while we may have originally said meh to next month because this month was so bad, we'll actually think next month was actually kind of good. Other than that, I don't get the reasoning behind a lot of the way and a lot of the decisions and the way things went this month, Alright, I think you've paid the price and listened to me ramble enough. Comment below. What were your final thoughts on this month? Did you really like this month? Did you really like some of the extra pulls in this X-Borg faction store that kind of reduced the necessity to grind in other loops? Because that is kind of the base of the Ex-Borg, or at least it has been in the past. Be sure to like and subscribe. I am the Angry Rhino. Shields up, Commanders.